Well, hello there. Carol Dockum here with Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network. And I am super pumped today because we are actually launching something new, and I'm so excited about it. It is our new book review series. And I don't know about you, but I am an avid learner. I like to call myself a lifetime learner. And I think I've heard this expression before that leaders are readers. And I am always reading something new, whether it's personal growth and development or something business related. I tend to dive more into those types of books from myself versus fiction. Fiction is good, don't get me wrong, but I absolutely just love learning. And that is one of the foundational pieces that we have going on here at Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network to bring the education, the information, the resources to help you as small business owners and entrepreneurs, women in business, really rise and shine and reach the level of success that we're all shooting for at Beautiful Faces Going Places. So excuse me. So I'm so excited here to introduce our special host to launch this new book review series, Cheryl Greenfield. She is a health, wealth, and happiness coach. And I want to read a little bit of her backstory here so that you can really put all of this into context and why Cheryl chose the Untethered Soul as to launch our book review series. So these are Cheryl's words. I had come to a place where I was living a life as two different people, acting happy on the outside, but on the inside was stuck within my sexual trauma, living with a constant critic telling me I would never be good enough or amount to anything. I was broken. Constant criticism in my mind and in my body began to have disease. I realized I had been programmed to think the way I was, but learned that I had choices. I learned that there was a way to change the scripts, to make decisions, and I learned about the laws of the universe and how to use it to bring about my dreams. As a nurse, I was constantly working with trauma. I worked on the sexual assault team, responding to acute sexual trauma to provide support to the survivor and the family. At this time, I still had not learned how to solve my own trauma and history from sexual abuse. It was not until I learned that it begins by healing the mind and thought processes that I really became a survivor. Otherwise, I was just going through counseling, retelling, and reliving my story, never actually healing. Cheryl is an RN, BSN nurse case manager with 39 years of professional experience in the healthcare industry. Cheryl's passion extends beyond healthcare and includes being a certified yoga instructor, a Reiki practitioner, as well as a master public speaker through Dale Carnegie and Toastmasters. Cheryl has always had an entrepreneurial drive, and she has actually joined our success team here at Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network to share her passion in helping network marketers, entrepreneurs, build their brands and wealth using social media. Cheryl is a mindset coach with the Pursuit Institute, specializing in trauma. If you find yourself struggling moving forward in life, please reach out to Cheryl Greenfield. Cheryl, thank you so much for hosting today's book review, Untethered Soul. And I am going to pass the mic over to you. Let's dive in.
All right. Thanks so much, Carol. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm so excited to be here and to share this book with everyone. By far, this is my #1 book. This book has literally changed my life. It was the start of my change. And even the subtitle says The Journey Beyond Oneself. Tells a lot just for that, just the beginning. And, with my story, in 2017, I was doing a yoga certification and we had a retreat to end the training. I was in a good space. My favorite teacher was doing an art project with meditation. It was a finger painting project, and we were all in a circle facing outside. So like all of our backs to each other, and we put paint on this board and slapped down another paper, and you finger painted on it. You didn't get the paint on your fingers. You were on the the paper, and then you rip it off and you put another one on, rip it off, put another one on. And we had done a meditation prior to this, and this music was playing. And the idea was you very quickly like pull the papers off, slap one on, pull one off, and draw with your eyes closed. Before I knew it, I was sobbing in a heap. And I was like, why now? Why is this coming up now? And it was my sexual abuse by my uncle for many years. He was manipulative and threatening, and I had kept this secret for 40 plus years. And there it appeared, and all the pain and anguish rose within me. And the next thing I remember was my teacher putting her back to mine, whispering, I'm here, it's okay, I have your back. Someone at that moment suggested this book to me, so I picked it up and read it. And to tell you, I cannot count how many times I've read it and gained aha moments. I've been living in a world of criticism, anxiety, and depression since the age of 12, and I thought maybe this would help me come to grips with it. And I can say it definitely kicked off my path. And as you can see, all of my little notes, I have things everywhere in this book. So The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, it's actually a self-help book that explores the concept of inner freedom and how to achieve it. The book is written in a conversational style, and it's filled with personal anecdotes and spiritual insights that make it easy to read and understand. This was important to me. Singer argues that the human mind is constantly chattering, and that this inner dialogue is what prevents us from experiencing true inner peace and happiness. He suggests that we can learn to quiet the mind, let go of our fears and insecurities by becoming aware of our thoughts and emotions and learning to observe them without judgment. The book is divided into 4 parts, each focusing on a different aspect of the inner journey. The first part explores the concept of consciousness and how it relates to the human experience. The second part looks at the ways in which we become trapped in our own thoughts and emotions and how we can break free from these patterns. The third part focuses on the importance of living in the present moment and letting go of attachment to the past and the future. And finally, the fourth part provides practical tools and techniques for achieving inner peace and freedom. The art of life is to stay wide open and be vulnerable, yet at the same time to sit with the mystery and the awe and with the unbearable pain, to just be with it all. I've been growing into that wonderful catchphrase, be here now, for the last 40 years. I could have wrote that, but Ram Dass did. And this quote got me thinking that I had avoided being here and now in the last 40 years and stuck. So let's dive in. And I'm going to tell you some parts that really changed my life and that I love. I'm going to do some reading for you today. So I hope you enjoy this, and sit back and maybe grab a piece of paper. You might want to make some notes on this for yourself. And I hope this is super helpful to everyone. So we're going to start chapter 1. It hooked me on the title alone. It's called The Voice Inside Your Head. I thought, it's not just me. What? Somebody else has that voice inside their head. And here's a quote from it. In case you haven't noticed, you have a mental dialogue going on inside your head that never stops. It just keeps going and going. Have you ever wondered why it talks in there? How does it decide what to say and when to say it? How much of what it says turns out to be true? How much of what it says is even important? And right now you're hearing, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any voice inside my head. That's the voice we're talking about. I mean, wow. I really had no idea we all have this. I thought it was just me. So now I was curious to know more. He explains we do this to feel in control of our world around us. We tend to see things, label, and judge. And Michael says, if you can't get the world the way you like it, you internally verbalize it, judge it, complain about it, and then decide what to do about it. And this makes you feel more empowered. Now I needed to know more. So this was a turning point for me, because for the first time in my life, I understood it wasn't just me, and that there's a way that you can make changes. So chapter 3, who am I? This chapter is very important When you have this awareness, you'll now look at life differently. And, once we have that awareness, you can't make it go away. So that's why this book is fantastic, because it's going to wake you up and really make you think about some stuff in your life. And I'm going to read just a little bit in this book, in this chapter, and only because I really think it's important to understand this part. And this will give you something to really think about after we're done with this today. So who are you? Ramana Maharshi, a great teacher in the yogic tradition, used to say that to attain inner freedom, one must continuously and sincerely ask the question, who am I? He taught that this was more important than reading books, learning mantras, or going to holy places. Just ask, who am I? Who sees when I see? Who hears when I hear? Who knows that I am aware? Who am I? Let's explore this question by playing a game. Make believe that you and I are having a conversation. Typically in Western cultures, when someone comes up to you and asks, excuse me, who are you? You don't admonish them for asking such a deep question. You tell them your name. For example, Sally Smith. But I'm going to challenge this response by taking out a piece of paper and writing the letters SALLY SMITH, and then showing it to you. Is this who you are? A collection of letters? Is that who sees when you see? Obviously not, so you say. Okay, you're right. I'm not Sally Smith. That's just a name people call me. It's a label. Really, I'm Frank Smith's wife. No way. That's not even politically correct nowadays. How could you be Frank Smith's wife? Are you saying you didn't exist before you met Frank and you would cease to exist if he died or you get remarried? Frank Smith's wife can't be who you are. Again, that's just another label, the result of another situation or event you participated in. But then, who are you? This time you respond, okay, now you have my attention. My label is Sally Smith. I was born in 1965 in New York. I lived in Queens with my parents, Harry and Mary Jones, until I was 5 years old. Then we moved to New Jersey and I went to Newark Elementary School. I got all A's in schools, and in the 5th grade, I played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I started dating in the 9th grade, and my first boyfriend was Joe. I went to Rutgers College where I met and married Frank Smith. That is who I am. Wait a minute. That's a fascinating story, but I didn't ask you what has happened to you since you were born. I asked you, who are you? You've just described all these experiences. But who had these experiences? Wouldn't you still be in there, aware of your existence, even if you had gone to a different college? So you contemplate this, and you realize that never in your life have you asked yourself that question and really meant it. Who am I? That is what Ramana Maharshi was asking. So you ponder this more seriously, and you say, okay, I'm the body that is occupying this space. I am 5'6" and I weigh 135 pounds, and here I am. When you were Dorothy in the 5th grade play, you weren't 5'6", you were 4'6". So which are you? Are you the 4'6" person, or are you the 5'6" person? Weren't you in there when you were Dorothy? You told me you were. Aren't you the one who had the experience of being Dorothy in the 5th grade play and is now having the experience of trying to answer my questions? Isn't this the same you? Interesting. Perhaps we need to step back for a moment and ask some exploratory questions before returning to the core question. When you were 10 years old, didn't you look in the mirror and see a 10-year-old body? Wasn't that the same you that now sees an adult body? What you looked at has changed, but what about you, the one who is looking? Isn't there a continuity of being? Wasn't it the same being that looked in the mirror throughout the years? You have to contemplate this very carefully. Here's another question. When you go to sleep every night, do you dream? Who dreams? What does it mean to dream? You answer, well, it's like a motion picture plays in my mind and I watch it. Ah, who watches it? I do. The same you who looks in the mirror. Does the same you who is reading these words also look in the mirror and watch the dreams? When you awake, you know you saw the dream. There's a continuity of conscious awareness of being. Ramana Maheshwari was just asking some very simple questions. Who sees when you see? Who hears when you hear? Who watches the dreams? Who looks at the image in the mirror? Who is it that is having all these experiences? If you try to just give honest, intuitive answers, you are simply going to say, it's me. It's me. I'm in here experiencing all of this. That's about the best answer you'll have. It's actually pretty easy to see that you're not the objects you look at. That's a classic case of subject-object. It's you, the subject, that is looking at the objects. So we don't have to go through every object in the universe and say that object is not you. We can very easily generalize by saying that if you're the one who is looking at something, then that something is not you. So right away, in one fell swoop, you know what you're not. You're not the outside world. You're the one who is inside looking out at that world. So that was easy. Now, at least we've eliminated the countless things outside. But again, who are you? And where are you if you're not outside with all the other things? You just have to pay attention and realize that you would still be in there experiencing feelings, even if all the outside objects disappeared. Imagine how much fear you would feel. You might also feel frustration and even anger. But who would be feeling these things? Again, you say me, and that's the right answer. The same me experiences both the outside world and the inside emotions. To take a clear look at this, imagine that you're watching a dog play outside. Suddenly, you hear a noise right behind you, a hiss, like a rattlesnake. Would you still be looking at the dog with the same intensity of focus? Of course not. You'd be feeling tremendous fear inside. Though the dog would still be playing in front of you, you'd be completely preoccupied with the experience of fear of the snake behind you. All of your attention could very quickly become absorbed in your emotions. But who feels the fear? Isn't it the same you who was watching the dog? Who feels love when you feel love? Can't you feel so much love that it's hard to keep your eyes open? You can become so absorbed in beautiful inner feelings or frightening inner fears that it's hard to focus on outer objects. In essence, inside and outside objects compete for your attention. You are in there having both inner and outer experiences. But again, who are you? To explore this more deeply, answer another question. Don't you have times when you're not having emotional experiences and instead you just feel quiet inside? You're still in there, but you're just aware of peaceful quiet. Eventually, you will begin to realize the outside world and the flow of inner emotions comes and goes. But you, the one who experiences these things, remain consciously aware of whatever passes before you. But where are you? Maybe we can find you in your thoughts. Rene Descartes, a great philosopher, once said, I think, therefore I am. But is that really what's going on? The dictionary defines the verb to think as to form thoughts and use the mind to consider ideas and make judgments. The question is, who is using the mind to form thoughts and then manipulate them into ideas and judgments? Does the experiencer of thoughts exist even when thoughts are not present? Fortunately, you don't have to think about it. You're very aware of your presence of being, your sense of existence, without the help of thoughts. When you go into deep meditation, for example, the thoughts stop. You know that they've stopped. You don't think it. You're simply aware of no thoughts. You come back and say, wow, I went into this deep meditation and for the first time, my thoughts completely stopped. I was in a place of complete peace, harmony, and quiet. If you are in there experiencing the peace that occurs when your thoughts stop, then obviously your existence is not dependent upon the act of thinking. Thoughts can stop, and they can also get extremely noisy. Sometimes you have many more thoughts than other times. You may even tell someone, my mind is driving me crazy. Ever since he said those things to me, I can't even sleep. My mind just won't shut up. Whose mind? Who is noticing these thoughts? Isn't it you? Don't you hear your thoughts inside? Aren't you aware of their existence? In fact, can't you get rid of them? If you start to have a thought you don't like, can't you try to make it go away? People struggle with thoughts all the time. Who is it that is aware of the thoughts, and who is it that struggles with them? Again, you have a subject-object relationship with your thoughts. You are the subject, and the thoughts are just another object you can be aware of. You are not your thoughts. You are simply aware of your thoughts. So finally, you say, fine, I'm not anything in the outside world, and I'm not the emotions. These inner and outer objects come and go, and I experience them. Plus, I'm not the thoughts. They can be quiet or noisy, happy or sad. Thoughts are just something else I'm aware of. But who am I? Starts to become a serious question. Who am I? Who is having all these physical, emotional, and mental experiences? So you contemplate this question a little deeper. This is done by letting go of the experiences and noticing who is left. You will begin to notice who is experiencing the experience. Eventually, you will get to a point within yourself where you realize that you, the experiencer, have a certain quality. And that quality is awareness, consciousness, and intuitive sense of existence. You know that you're in there. You don't have to think about it. You just know. You can think about it if you want to, but you will know what you're thinking about it. You exist regardless, thoughts or no thoughts. To make this more experiential, let's try a conscious experiment. Notice that with a single glance at a room or out a window, you instantaneously see the full detail that's everything in front of you. You are effortlessly aware of all the objects that are within the scope of your vision, both near and far away. Without moving your head or eyes, you perceive all the intricate detail of what you immediately see. Look at all the colors, the variations of light, the grain of wood furniture, the architecture of buildings, and the variations of bark and leaves on the trees. Notice that you take all of this in at once without having to think about it. No thoughts are necessary. You just see it. Now try to use those thoughts to isolate, label, and describe all the intricate detail of what you see. How long would it take your mental voice to describe all that detail to you versus the instantaneous snapshot of consciousness just seeing? When you just look without creating thoughts, your consciousness is effortlessly aware of and fully comprehends all it sees. Consciousness is the highest word you will ever utter. There is nothing higher or deeper than consciousness. Consciousness is pure awareness. What is awareness? Let's try another experiment. Let's say you're in a room looking at a group of people and a piano. Now make believe the piano ceases to exist in your world. Would you have a major problem with that? You say, no, I don't think so. I'm not attached to pianos. Okay, then. Make believe the people in the room cease to exist. Are you still okay? Can you handle it? You say, sure, I like being alone. Now make believe your awareness doesn't exist. Just turn it off. How are you doing now? What would it be like if your awareness didn't exist? It's actually pretty simple. You wouldn't be there. There would be no sense of me. There wouldn't be anyone in there to say, wow, I used to be in there, but now I'm not. There would no longer be an awareness of being. And without awareness of being or consciousness, there is nothing. Are there objects? Who knows? If no one is aware of the objects, their existence or non-existence becomes completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter how many things are in front of you. If you turn off the consciousness, there is nothing. If you are conscious, however, there can be nothing in front of you, but you are fully aware that there is nothing. It's really not that complicated. It's very enlightening. So now if I ask you, who are you? You answer, I am the one who sees. From back in here somewhere, I look out and I'm aware of the events, thoughts, and emotions that pass before me. If you go very deep, this is where you live. You live in the seat of consciousness. A true spiritual being lives there without effort and without intent. Just as you effortlessly look outside and see all that you see, you will eventually sit far enough back inside to see all of your thoughts and emotions as well as outer form. All of these objects are in front of you. The thoughts are closer in, the emotions are a little further away, and form is way out there. Behind it all, there you are. You go so deep that you realize that's where you've always been. At each stage of your life, you have seen different thoughts, emotions, and objects pass before you, but you've always been the conscious receiver of all that was. Now you're in the center of your consciousness. You're behind everything, just watching. This is your true home. Take everything else away, and you're still there, aware that everything is gone. But take the center of awareness away, and there's nothing. The center is the seat of self. From that seat, you're aware that there are thoughts, emotions, and a world coming in through your senses. But now that you're aware, you are aware. And that is the seat of Buddha self, the Hindu Atman, the Judeo-Christian soul, and the great mystery begins once you take that seat deep within. And I love this because we are not our thoughts. Thoughts are things. We are not aware of our thoughts. So once you learn that little piece and you go through that section, it's like, who am I? I am consciousness. So that was my first big aha moment as I start through this. And my next fun part is in chapter 6, and the secret of the spiritual heart. And this weaves you through the experience of heart energy. And I'll read just a little bit from this one, because now I found who I am, and I understand that all of these thoughts that I'm thinking are not me. They're just things. They're just objects. And that was comforting to me to learn and understand that all of my thoughts that I keep carrying forward about sexual abuse are just thoughts. I can let those go. That's not me. So the secret of the spiritual heart, very few people understand the heart. In truth, your heart is one of the masterpieces of creation. It's a phenomenal instrument. It has the potential to create vibrations and harmonies that are far beyond the beauty of pianos, strings, or flutes. You can hear an instrument, but you feel your heart. And if you think that you feel an instrument, it's only because it touched your heart. Your heart is an instrument made of extremely subtle energy that few people come to appreciate. In most human beings, the heart does its work unattended. Even though its behavior governs the course of our lives, it is not understood. If at any given point in time the heart happens to open, we fall in love. If at any given point in time it happens to close, the love stops. If the heart happens to hurt, we get angry. And if we stop feeling it altogether, we get empty. All of these different things happen because the heart goes through changes. This energy shifts and variations that take place in the heart run your life. You are so identified with them that you use the words I and me when you refer to what's going on in your heart. But in truth, you're not your heart. You're the experiencer of your heart. And I love that. You're the experiencer of those heart feelings. You're experiencing those. Then we're going to flip over to chapter 9. So we've gone from head to heart. And this one in this book really solved a big issue for me. And it's called Removing Your Inner Thorn. And I'm going to read just a little bit in here. He has such a way with words. I just love how Michael weaves these words through. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our personal problems. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, let's examine the following situation. Imagine you have a thorn in your arm that directly touches a nerve. When the thorn is touched, it's very painful. Because it hurts so much, the thorn is a serious problem. It's difficult to sleep because you roll over on it. It's hard to get close to people because they might touch it. It makes your daily life very difficult. You can't even go for a walk in the woods because you might brush the thorn against the branches. This thorn is a constant source of disturbance, and to solve the problem, you only have two choices. The first is to look at your situation and decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to make sure nothing touches it. The second choice is to decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to take it out. Believe it or not, the effects of the choice you make will determine the course of the rest of your life. This is one of the core level structural decisions that lay the foundation for your future. You see, the thorn in my life was a sexual abuse and all that I endured. And I carried that with me because it was a secret. It was a thorn, a great big thorn in me. So if you decide to keep it within, keep the thorn, and you're going to decide to keep things from touching it, then that becomes the work of a lifetime. And this I lived. If you want to go for a walk, you're going to have to thin out the branches to make sure you don't brush against them. See, I would limit myself to how many people I would contact because of the fact they might say the right thing and I might spill the beans, spill the secret. Since you often roll over and touch the thorn when you sleep, you'll have to find a solution for that as well. Perhaps you could design an apparatus that acts as a protective device. If you really put a lot of energy into it and your solution seemed to work, you would think that you had solved your problem. You'd say, I can sleep now. And guess what? I got to go on TV to give a testimonial. Anybody who has a thorn problem can get my protective device, and I even get paid royalties. And how many of us use protective devices to help us sleep so that the thorn doesn't bother us when we're sleeping? I could think of many things that we do for that, especially sleep agents. So now you've got a whole life built around this thorn and you're proud of it. You keep the woods thinned out, you wear the apparatus to bed at night, but now you have a new problem. You fell in love. This is a problem because in your situation, it's hard to even hug. Nobody can touch you because they might touch the thorn. So you design another kind of device that allows closeness amongst people without even touching. Eventually, you decide you want total mobility without having to worry about the thorn anymore. So you make a full-time device that doesn't have to be unstrapped at night or changed over for hugging or other daily activities, but it's heavy. So you put wheels on it, control it with hydraulics, and install collision sensors. It's actually a quite impressive device. Of course, you had to change the doors in the house so that the protective device could get through, but at least now you can live your life. You can go to work, go to sleep, and get close to people. So you now say, everyone, I've solved my problem. I'm a free being. I can go anywhere I want. I can do anything I want. The thorn used to run my life. Now it doesn't run anything. But the truth is, the thorn completely runs your entire life. It affects all your decisions, including where you go, whom you're comfortable with, and who's comfortable with you. It determines where you're allowed to work, what house you can live in, and what kind of bed you can sleep on at night. When all's said and done, that thorn is running every aspect of your life. My apparatus was a wall, a big brick wall, and I built it around me. And I made really poor choices in relationships. And because I did not deal with the thorn in my life, those relationships ended. And so if you're not dealing with trauma that's within your life, this is what's going to happen. It's going to remain there and it's going to run your entire life. And this was mind-blowing to me, absolutely mind-blowing to me. And on page 87, the more you sit in self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you've never experienced before. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. When you are no longer absorbed in your melodrama, but instead sit comfortably deep inside the seat of awareness, you will start to feel this flow of energy coming up from deep within. This flow has been called Shakti. This flow has been called spirit. This is what you begin to experience if you hang out with the self instead of hanging out with inner disturbances. You don't have to get rid of loneliness. You just cease to be involved with it. It's just another thing in the universe, like cars crossing the stars. It's none of your business. Just let things go. That's what the self does. Awareness does not fight. Awareness releases. Awareness is simply aware while everything in the universe parades before it. So that was mind-blowing and life-changing for me when I started to understand all of this. Chapter 13 is another one that was big for me. Let me flip over to here. I'll find it here. Chapter 13. And chapter 13 is removing the self-made limits here, far, far beyond. When you truly awake spiritually, you realize you're caged. You wake up and realize that you can hardly move in there. You're constantly hitting the limits of your comfort zone. You see that you're afraid to tell people what you really think. You see that you're too self-conscious to freely express yourself. You see that you have to stay on top of everything in order to be okay. Why? There's really no reason. You have set these limits on yourself. But if you don't stay within them, you get scared, you feel hurt, you feel threatened. That's your cage. The tiger knows the limits of his cage when he hits the bars. You know the limits of your cage when the psyche starts to resist. Your bars are the outer boundary of your comfort zone. The minute you come to the edge of your cage, it lets you know it in no uncertain terms. So let's look at this edge by way of an example. In the old days, if you wanted to keep your dog in the backyard, you had to put up a fence. Nowadays, you don't need a fence because everything is electronic. You can just bury wires underground and put a little collar on the dog, and the dog thinks, hey, I'm free. I used to have to be inside a fence. This is great. Of course, he goes running right to where he's not supposed to go, and zap, he jumps back and barks. What happened? An invisible limit was there. And when the dog approached that limit, it gave him a little shock and it hurt. It was uncomfortable enough so that now the dog feels the dog feels fear whenever he approaches the boundaries. So you see, a cage doesn't have to look like a cage. It can be a cage created by your fear of discomfort. If you approach your limits, you begin to feel uncomfortable and insecure. Those are the bars of your cage. As long as you stay inside of it, you cannot possibly know what's on the other side. The boundaries of this cage are what make your world appear finite and temporal. The infinite and eternal are just outside the limits of your cage. Going beyond means going beyond the borders of the cage. There should be no cage. The soul is infinite. It's free to expand everywhere. It's free to experience all of life. This can only happen when you're willing to face reality without mental boundaries. If you still have barriers and you know what they are because you hit them every day, you must be willing to go beyond them. Otherwise, you remain within your cage. And remember, decorating your cage with beautiful experiences, fond memories, and great dreams is not the same as going beyond. A cage by any other name is still a cage. You must be willing to go beyond. And then, finally, for me, the big one, chapter 16, the spiritual path of non-resistance. One should view their spiritual work as learning to live life without stress, problems, fear, or melodrama. This path of using life to evolve spiritually is truly the highest path. There really is no reason for tension or problems. Stress only happens when you resist life's events. If you're neither pushing life away nor pulling it towards you, then you're not creating any resistance. You're simply present. In this state, you are just witnessing and experiencing the event of life's taking place. If you choose to live this way, you will see that life can be lived in a state of peace. What an amazing process life is. Flow of atoms through time and space. It's just an eternal sequence of events that take form and then instantly dissolve in the next moment. If you resist this amazing force of life, tension builds within you and gets into your body, mind, and spiritual heart. The alternative is to use life to let go of these impressions and the stress they create. In order to do this, you have to become very conscious. You have to carefully watch the mental voice that tells you to resist something. It literally commands you. I don't like what he said, fix it. It gives you advice and tells you to confront the world by resisting things. Why do you listen to it? Let your spiritual path become the willingness to let whatever happens make it through you, rather than carrying it into the next moment. That doesn't mean you don't deal with what happens. You're welcome to deal with it. But first, let the energy make it through you. If you don't, you will not actually be dealing with the current event. You will be dealing with your own blocked energies from the past. You will not be coming from a place of clarity, but from a place of inner resistance and tension. And finally, when a person is dealing with their own fears, anxieties, and desires, how much energy is left over for dealing with what's actually happening? Stop and think about what you're capable of achieving. Up till now, your capacities have been constrained by constant inner struggles. Imagine what would happen if your awareness was free to focus only on the events actually taking place. You would have no noise going on inside. If you live like this, you could do anything. Your capabilities would be exponential compared to what you've ever experienced. If you could bring this level of awareness and clarity to everything you do, your life would change. So as your path, you take on the work of using life to let go of your resistance. Relationships are a great way to work with yourself. Imagine if you used relationships to get to know other people rather than to satisfy what is blocked inside of you. If you're not trying to make people fit into your preconceived notions of what you like and dislike, you will find that relationships are really not that difficult. If you are not so busy judging and resisting people based upon what is blocked inside of you, you will find that they are much easier to get along with, and so are you. Letting go of yourself is the simplest way to get closer to others. And so overall, I found The Untethered Soul to be a very thought-provoking and inspiring read. His style is engaging and accessible. He presents very complex spiritual concepts in a way that's easy to understand. While some of the ideas presented in this book may be challenging to implement in daily life, I believe that the practical exercises and meditations provided, especially in the final section of the book, could be very helpful for anyone seeking to cultivate greater inner awareness and peace. And in summary, if you're interested in exploring spirituality and personal growth, or if you simply want to learn how to quiet your mind and experience great inner peace, The Untethered Soul is a book I would highly recommend. For me, it started me on the path to quiet the inner critic and figure out who I am. And we have a little time here if anyone has questions. And Carol, I think you can see if anyone has questions. You have the view of that.
Yes. I am looking right now. I don't see any questions coming in. I do see this was an amazing, amazing book review. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And I know I am a huge note taker. Huge note taker, Cheryl. And I just feel like this is so much to digest and so much information and very insightful when we really learn that we actually have the choice and that we can control the chatter, the noise that goes on in our minds and with our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions, right? Which really creates our reality. And when we learn that to be conscious, to be in the present, in the now, and aware of all of that chatter that's going on. Some people call it monkey chatter. That we can actually change, flip the switch and change it so that we can live a more happy, fulfilling, joyful life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about flipping those scripts inside of you and knowing that you can do that because you're not those things.
Right.
Yes. And this work actually led me on to mindset training, which I've really dove into. And I've been doing this work for 2 years, which led me into coaching now and helping people do the same with this work.
I love it, Cheryl. So where is, well, number one, I just want to say thank you so much for doing and hosting, launching our first book review here at Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network. And this was an amazing book review, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer, A Journey Beyond Yourself. I'm actually halfway through the book. I feel like I need to restart it again because there's so much, it's a pretty deep book. There's so much information there to really think about and introspect, if you will. So I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you, Cheryl, for launching our book review series here. And so where is the best place for our audience, our viewers, to connect with you, to learn more about what you have to offer with your wealth, health, and happiness coaching, your mindset coaching that you do through the Pursuit Institute?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way is just book a call with me, and you can get to my calendar on calendly.com/Cheryl Greenfield, and that's CHERYL. Green is in the color and field. So that's the best way. I'm on Instagram as Free Spirit Healing, and I'm on Facebook as Cheryl Greenfield, so you can find me that way as well. My website is still being in the process of working. And then also there's the Pursuit Institute, and it's pursuitinstitutecc.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. Have a fabulous day and take care, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.